Hey guys, tonight we're going back, way back before kings, before pyramids, before names were even a thing. The year? Well, there isn't one. There's no calendar, no writing, no one to count the days. You open your eyes on the edge of a world that's just waking up from prehistory. It's Africa, 2.5 million years ago. The air smells of rain and wild grass. The horizon stretches wide, dotted with acacia trees and shimmering heat. You can hear the distant grunts of hippos in the river, the cry of vultures circling above, and the wind brushing through tall golden grass. This is your home now, long before anyone could have imagined cities or satellites. You crouch beside a muddy waterhole, your reflection shimmering beside that of a baboon. You don't know it, but you're something new. Your ancestors, ape-like creatures who walked half on knuckles, half on feet, are gone. You stand upright now, though your posture still sways. The sun beats down on your bare skin. You blink against the brightness, scanning for danger, lions, leopards, or worse, hunger. You're one of the first Homo habilis, handy humans. You've learned something your ancestors hadn't yet dared to shape the world with your hands. At your feet lies a rock, a chunk of hard basalt. You pick it up and strike it against another. Crack. The sound echoes through the air. A shard flakes off, sharp and glittering. You turn it in your palm, curious, careful not to cut yourself. This is the first moment of invention. The first tool. It's ugly and simple. A chipped stone, but it's everything. With it, you can cut meat from bone, skin animals, crack open marrow. You can change what it means to be alive. Every small discovery like this nudges your species forward. You and your kin don't think about the future, but your actions are rewriting what survival means. Fire hasn't been tamed yet, so night still belongs to predators. When the sun dips low, you huddle together, bodies close, using warmth as your only defense. You listen to the forest breathing around you, the cough of a leopard, the snap of a branch, the faint rustle of something unseen. Fear is your teacher, instinct is your guide. But the world is not just cruel. It's beautiful. Rivers glitter in the sun, herds of antelope sweep across plains, and fruit trees hang heavy with food. You learn the rhythm of nature by watching. You know which roots heal and which kill, which tracks belong to prey and which to hunters. You have no books, but the landscape itself is your library, and every sound, smell and shadow is a page. As time moves forward, thousands of years in the blink of a cosmic eye, your descendants change. The faces grow longer, the brains larger, the hands more skillful. Homo erectus strides onto the stage, a taller, stronger version of you. They walk fully upright, their gaze steady, their curiosity boundless. They begin to roam, leaving Africa for lands beyond. For the first time, humanity steps into the unknown. Imagine that journey. No maps, no fire at first, just instinct and courage. You move through forests, across rivers, into lands of ice and desert. You eat what you can find, you sleep where you can hide. Every dawn is a gamble, every night a victory. The world is full of giants. Saber-toothed cats, mammoths, bears taller than 2 men. And yet, somehow you endure. You're small, but your mind burns brighter than any flame. At some point, a miracle happens. A storm lights a forest on fire, and your ancestors watch in awe. They don't flee this time, they approach carefully, holding sticks, eyes wide. The flames dance and roar. They smell of smoke and death and warmth. And when one of them dares to carry a burning branch back to camp, everything changes. For the first time in history, humanity holds power over light itself. The night is no longer the enemy. Fire keeps away predators, warms food, and gathers people together around its glow. You share meat, gestures, sounds that begin to mean things. The first conversations flicker into life beside the flames. You sit by that fire, watching sparks spiral into the sky. You don't have words for what you feel, but it's something like wonder. The darkness beyond the firelight feels vast, but for the first time, you're not afraid of it. The fire gives you time to think, to imagine. You begin to dream, not just of surviving, but of tomorrow. Generations pass. The ground beneath your feet changes, the animals evolve, the weather shifts. Ice ages come and go like breaths of the planet. Some humans adapt, others vanish. New species appear, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo neanderthalensis, Homo sapiens. Each one inherits what came before, the tools, the fire, the will to explore. And then, somewhere in East Africa, about 200,000 years ago, you appear, modern human. You don't know that your bones and brain are unlike any before you. You don't even know you're part of a story. But when you look up at the stars and wonder what they are, that's when something shifts forever. You start to paint the world in symbols. A line scratched into a stone, a pattern drawn in the sand. It's not art yet, but it's the spark of imagination. You can see what isn't there. You can dream of what could be. That's the birth of everything that follows: religion, language, science, love, fear. You still live in small bands, no larger than a few dozen people. Everyone knows everyone. You hunt together, share food, raise children. There's no money, no rank, no ownership beyond what you can carry. Life is harsh, but equal. You rely on cooperation more than strength. And every new idea, every shaped stone, every shared fire pushes your kind further from the animals that once surrounded you. Sometimes when the night grows cold and quiet, you feel something deeper than fear, something like memory. You don't have words for it yet, but it feels like knowing the world feels alive. The trees whisper, the stars seem to watch. You begin to bury your dead, to place stones or flowers beside their bodies. You don't know why, only that it feels right. Somewhere in that instinct lies the first glimpse of spirit, the sense that life is more than flesh. The dawn of humanity isn't one moment, one discovery, one genius. It's a slow, endless awakening, a million small steps leading toward awareness, from chipped stone to spoken word, from spark to fire, from instinct to imagination. You are watching the human mind come alive. If you could stand beside one of them now, your ancestor, you'd recognize them. Their eyes, their hands, their laughter, even their curiosity. It's all still in you. The same pulse, the same hunger to learn, to control, to belong. Time has only changed the tools, not the heart. You stretch beside the fire and feel the warmth against your skin. The wind carries the scent of smoke, rain, and distant grass. You close your eyes. The world is vast, mysterious, and full of danger. But for the first time in history, humanity has begun to dream. And the story, your story, is only beginning. You wake with the sun on your face. And for the first time in the story of life, you rise not on all fours but on 2 feet. It feels strange at first, unsteady, wobbly, but it changes everything. The ground beneath you is rough, scattered with stones and thorns, but your hands are free now. You can carry food, tools, even your child. You can throw a stone at a predator, wave to a friend, or lift your face to the horizon. Walking upright doesn't just shift your body, it shifts your destiny. Millions of years earlier, your ancestors lived among the trees. They climbed, leapt, and swung, safe in the green shadows. The forest was their world, branches their roads, fruit their treasure. But then the climate began to change. Forests thinned into grasslands. The canopy that once sheltered them retreated, and open plains replaced their leafy home. To survive, they had to adapt. Those who could stand taller, who could see over the grass for danger, or fruit trees, had an advantage. Step by step, evolution chose them. It wasn't magic or sudden genius. It was slow, clumsy, messy. Bones shifted, hips widened, spines curved. What was once a shuffle became a stride. Every upright step was an act of courage against nature's old design. You imagine one ancestor standing halfway between ape and human, half in the trees, half on the ground, glancing nervously between both worlds. That's where the story of walking begins. By standing tall, you see farther. You spot predators before they spot you. You find food faster. You can travel longer distances under the sun. Other animals rely on speed or strength, but you rely on endurance. You can't outrun a gazelle, but you can outlast it. While most creatures sprint and collapse, you keep walking, mile after mile, tracking your prey until it falls from exhaustion. The world's first marathon runner doesn't wear shoes or medals, just a skin of sweat and the will to keep moving. Walking upright also changes how you think. When your hands are no longer needed for walking, they start to explore. They grasp, twist, build. Your fingers evolve with precision. Your thumbs become stronger, And suddenly, the world is full of possibilities. Every pebble could be a knife. Every branch a spear. You look at the world differently now, not as something to survive, but something to shape. Your spine curves into an S, balancing the weight of your head. Your feet flatten, forming arches that spring with every step. The pelvis tilts to cradle the growing organs inside you. And yes, childbirth becomes harder. Your baby's heads are bigger now, packed with growing brains. But that pain buys intelligence. Evolution, it seems, is a bargain maker. It's hard to picture how revolutionary standing up really is. Think of how you see the world when you crawl. Everything looms above you, but when you stand, you become a creature of horizons. You can see storms before they arrive, rivers before they dry, prey before it flees. You can plan, predict, imagine. That's what separates a human from a beast. Not the body, but the ability to look forward. Still, the new posture comes at a cost. Your spine wasn't built for vertical strain. Your knees ache from bearing weight. And your back will always remind you of that evolutionary gamble. Even today, when someone groans about back pain, they're paying the ancient price of progress. The world demanded survival, and the human body answered with elegance and discomfort in equal measure. On the savannah, walking upright makes you visible, but also vulnerable. The tall grass hides predators that crouch low and silent. You don't have claws, fangs, or armor. What you do have is community. Upright walking isn't just a physical adaptation, it's a social one. You begin to move in groups, each person watching a different direction, each step taken for the whole tribe. One calls out danger, another carries a child, a third scouts for water. Cooperation becomes survival, and walking side by side becomes a bond older than language. Your posture also changes how you communicate. You can use your hands to gesture now, to signal a path, warn of threat, or show affection. A raised palm says stop. A pointed finger says look. A hand on the shoulder says stay. These simple movements are the seeds of language, of meaning shared without words. When you walk upright, you become both seen and understood. As centuries turn into millennia, the body refines its rhythm. Your gait becomes smoother, your balance instinctive. You can carry a baby on your hip, a bundle on your head, a stick in your hand. You become a creature made for motion, curious, restless, unstoppable. Migration begins not as exploration, but as necessity. Food moves, water moves, so you move. Step by step, humans begin to cover the map of the earth, though none of them yet knows what a world even is. You can almost picture it now. A band of early humans walking across the African plain at dawn. The sun rises red and slow, throwing long shadows behind them. Dust rises around their feet. They walk in silence, only the soft patter of soles against dirt. A mother carries a child who stares wide-eyed at the horizon. Somewhere, a predator watches, calculating but hesitates. These creatures don't flee anymore. They stand, they walk, they endure. From this simple act, standing upright, every future possibility unfolds. Agriculture, architecture, art, even space travel. All begin with that one decision made by evolution millions of years ago. Every time you take a step, you're reenacting the boldest experiment life ever attempted. And what's truly poetic is how ordinary it feels now. Walking upright has become so natural that you never think about it. But in this ancient world, it's radical, a defiance of the animal kingdom, a statement that you will no longer crawl through existence. You rise, you see, you decide. At night, your ancestors sit beneath the stars, weary but alert. They rest their aching legs, nursing small wounds, nursing dreams they can't yet name. In the distance you hear the cries of hyenas. The fire hasn't been mastered yet, so darkness still presses close. But in your upright posture, in your calm, patient stance, there's a quiet promise. One day the creatures that now hunt you will flee from the sight of your firelight. Walking upright is more than survival. It's dignity. It's awareness. It's the first hint of humanity's unshakable pride, the instinct to rise even when the world tells you to crawl. From now on, every dawn begins with the same gesture. You open your eyes, stretch your back, and stand up to face whatever waits beyond the grass. You don't know it yet, but this one simple act will carry your species across continents, through storms, wars, and wonders. right up to the day when one of your distant descendants will stand not on plains but on the moon. And all of it, every empire, every invention starts here, with bare feet on wild ground, and the simple unstoppable decision to stand. You crouch beside a riverbank, the sun hot on your shoulders, and stare at two stones in your hands. One is smooth, heavy, shaped by time. The other is rough and sharp-edged. You don't know the words hammer or blade, but you understand instinct. You lift one stone, strike it against the other, and watch flakes scatter like sparks. When you pick up the sharpest shard, it catches the light. You run a finger along its edge. It bites back, and just like that, the first human invention is born. The earliest tools aren't pretty. They're crude and jagged, more accident than design. Yet they mark the moment when humanity begins to control nature instead of being controlled by it. Every chipped stone is a declaration. I will not starve. I will not die easily. What separates you from the beasts now isn't just your upright stance. It's your imagination. You can see what an object could be. You use the sharp stone to crack open bones from a carcass left by lions. Inside, warm marrow gleams. A rich, fatty treasure. You scoop it out, taste it, and feel your body surge with energy. That nourishment feeds your growing brain, and your growing brain invents better tools. It's a perfect loop. Each innovation makes you smarter, and that intelligence makes you invent even more. Evolution, it seems, rewards curiosity. Soon you start shaping stones on purpose. You strike them just right, chipping off flakes until a pointed edge appears. Now you can cut meat, scrape hides, slice roots. Later, you tie one of these stones to a branch with sinew, inventing the first axe. It's awkward, heavy, but deadly. You've turned nature itself into a weapon. The tools spread quickly across generations, carried by wanderers and storytellers long before words exist. Every tribe, every small band of early humans, learns to shape the earth to their needs. In time, new species, Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, and others, refine the craft. The shapes grow more symmetrical, the edges cleaner. You begin to notice patterns in breaking rock, to feel the rhythm of creation. The toolmaker's art becomes humanity's first technology. Imagine a small camp at dusk. The hunters have returned, dragging a carcass. The smell of blood mixes with smoke and dust. A few gather around the flickering light of fire, hammering flakes from cores of flint. The tink-tink-tink of stone echoes in rhythm, like primitive music. Sparks fly, laughter hums, and the first workshop is born. Making tools isn't just survival, it's communication. Younger members watch, learn, imitate. Teaching begins, though no one calls it that yet. You grunt approval when someone strikes the right angle. You frown when they don't. The concept of knowledge itself, something to be passed on rather than rediscovered, takes root. Every generation builds on what the last one discovered. The story of human progress begins here, with one hand showing another how to break a stone. Over time, tools evolve beyond hunting. You use them to dig, carve, build, crush, grind. The first hammerstone leads to the first spear. The first scraper leads to clothing made from animal skins. You carve bones into needles, shells into ornaments, antlers into hooks. Soon you can fish, weave, pierce, and protect. Every object becomes an extension of your body, a way to multiply your strength 1,000-fold. This creativity reshapes your place in the world. Animals still run faster and bite harder, but none of them can invent. You are fragile, slow, and small, yet you hold something no other creature does, a mind that imagines the future. You can see a stick and picture a spear. You can see a rock and picture shelter. That ability, imagination, guided by need, is the invisible tool behind every visible one. Sometimes, invention comes from desperation. A drought leaves fruit scarce, and you're forced to travel farther for food. Along the way you stumble on bones from a mammoth. You strike one with a rock, carve its tip sharp, and suddenly you've made a spear. A few days later, when a herd passes nearby, you and your band surround one. The spears fly. The animal collapses. Victory. And with that kill, a new era begins. Humans no longer just scavengers, but hunters. The hunt changes everything. It demands planning, strategy, coordination. You need signals, trust, courage. When you ambush together, you're not just individuals surviving, you're a team. The bond of cooperation strengthens. You share food, share danger, share triumph. Around the fire that night, you gnaw roasted meat and laugh. You don't have language yet, but you don't need it to feel pride. The first sense of us flickers into being. The landscape bears your fingerprints now. Bones split open by tools, stones scattered in neat piles, ash from ancient fires, all silent evidence of human presence. The earth begins to change not through storms or eruptions, but through thought. The animals start to notice too. They grow wary of the upright ones who wield stones that cut like teeth and sticks that fly like claws. In East Africa, the Aldowan and Acheulean tool cultures rise. Each new technique spreads faster than any creature has ever shared behavior before. One discovery in a single valley ripples across continents within centuries. It's not random anymore. It's progress, and though you don't know the word, you live it every day. Your tools make you more than a survivor. They make you an artist of survival. Each blow on stone has rhythm, each flake a purpose. You start to appreciate symmetry, the clean line of a perfect edge. The first hint of aesthetic pleasure sneaks in. It's not enough that a tool works. It must look right. You've invented design. And then something strange happens. Once your hands master stone, they move on to other materials. Wood, bone, ivory, all become canvases for ingenuity. You carve not just tools, but symbols. Maybe it starts as boredom, or maybe it's worship. A curved line, a pattern of dots, a face etched into bone. Whatever it is, it's the seed of art. And art, like tools, is an act of control. To make beauty from chaos is to prove that you can. With tools, the human diet changes, the brain expands, the tribes grow. Fire, when combined with tools, transforms food into fuel that feeds intellect. Cooking softens meat, releases calories, and shortens digestion. The brain takes the surplus and evolves into something magnificent. Every chipped rock, every cooked meal, every shared idea, it's all feeding the same flame. If you could look down from the sky at this point in history, you'd see sparks of human life scattered across the plains. Tiny dots of light and motion amid the dark wilderness. Each group huddled around fire, each shaping stones beneath the stars. The rhythm of hammer on rock would echo across continents, the heartbeat of a species waking up. By the time 1,000,000 years pass, humans are tool makers in every sense. You can dig shelters, fell trees, butcher elephants, and build rafts. You've begun to alter landscapes, create patterns, plan generations ahead. The gap between instinct and intention has widened into an ocean, and humanity stands firmly on the far shore. You sit now beside the river again, holding another stone. It's sharper than the one your ancestors made. You strike it one more time, flake by flake, until the edge gleams like moonlight. You turn it in your palm and smile without words. It fits perfectly. This feeling of making something with your own hands is the first whisper of pride, the first thrill of creation. You don't know it yet, but that thrill will drive everything humans ever do. Building temples, forging swords, painting ceilings, launching rockets. It begins here, with a stone, a thought, and a spark. The first toolmaker stands, shoulders straight, weapon ready. The world is no longer something to endure, it's something to shape. Night falls across the plains, and for the first time in history the darkness doesn't win. A small orange glow flickers beneath a rocky overhang. The flames crackle, hiss, and breathe, painting moving shadows on the cave walls. You sit beside them, wide-eyed, mesmerized. This is fire, wild, dangerous, beautiful. You didn't make it yet. Lightning struck a tree and gifted you the spark, but you've stolen it, carried it back carefully, feeding it with twigs, whispering to it like a god. You don't know it, but this moment will change everything. Before fire, the night belonged to others. Hyenas laughed from the dark. Lions prowled unseen. Snakes slid silently through the grass. You and your people huddled in fear, your eyes straining in the blackness, your hearts racing at every sound. But now the darkness dances at the edge of your light. The beasts hesitate. The circle of fire becomes your world, and you, the fragile, hairless, trembling human, become something new, a creature of light. At first, you only use it for protection. You wave burning branches at predators, watching them retreat. You line your camp with glowing embers, marking a boundary between safety and chaos. Then curiosity takes over. You drop meat into the flames by accident, and when you pull it out, it smells different, richer. You taste it, and it's soft, warm, astonishing. Fire isn't just safety now, it's flavor, warmth, transformation. Cooking changes more than dinner. It changes your body, your brain, your destiny. Raw meat takes hours to chew, and you get little from it. Cooked meat gives more energy, faster. Your teeth shrink, your jaw lightens, your gut shortens. All that extra energy goes somewhere else. Up into your head. Your brain grows, your thoughts deepen. You begin to remember, to imagine, to plan. You can stay up late now, long after sunset, thinking. Fire makes time itself expand. The campfire becomes your first classroom, your first church, your first home. You sit around it, staring into the flames, and something awakens behind your eyes. The glow hypnotizes, soothes, invites talk. Words, clumsy, halting, begin to form. You grunt, point, gesture, but slowly those sounds become symbols. Meat, danger, tomorrow. Fire doesn't just cook food, it cooks language. Around its warmth, you learn to share thoughts, to build stories, to dream together. The smell of smoke begins to define your species. It clings to your hair, your skin, your tools. You learn to carry embers in bark or shells, wrapping them in leaves so the flame can travel with you. A family, a tribe, a whole people wandering with their own captured sunrise. Wherever you go, fire follows. Of course, mastery comes slowly. At first, you don't truly understand how it works. You don't yet know how to make it, only how to keep it alive. Someone is always on watch, feeding the flames, guarding it through rain and wind. When it dies, panic spreads. You run miles searching for a new spark, hoping lightning or lava will grant another chance. Losing fire feels like losing a god. Eventually, though, knowledge grows. You notice that when two stones strike, a spark leaps. When dry grass catches it, flame returns. Flint and pyrite become the keys to rebirth. You strike again and again, until smoke curls up, thin and shy. You blow gently, and suddenly, life roars out of death. The first human-made fire. The moment creation becomes deliberate. Now you are the master, not the supplicant. With fire, you can live anywhere. Jungles, deserts, icy caves. You can harden wooden spears in the flames, shaping better weapons. You can boil water to make it safe, chase disease from your drink. You can burn forests to clear land for hunting. You are no longer at nature's mercy. You are shaping it. But fire is not just a tool, it's a companion. You begin to see faces in its dance, hear whispers in its hiss. The flame moves, eats, breathes, it lives. Some say it's a spirit. Some bow before it, feeding it offerings of fat or grain. The first rituals begin here, around the firelight, where mystery and necessity meet. You learn to use smoke as signal. From far away, other bands can see it rise and know you're there, friend or foe. Fire connects tribes across distance. It's communication before writing, a language written in sky. The flickering light transforms the world around you. Caves once dark and threatening now reveal walls. You start to decorate them. With soot and crushed minerals, you smear color across stone handprints, lines, animals. Firelight dances over the drawings, making them move. The first art show in history happens right here, beneath the earth, by the glow of your own invention. At night, children fall asleep beside the embers. The warmth keeps predators at bay. The smoke drives away insects, and the gentle crackle becomes a lullaby. Parents tell stories how fire came from the gods, or from a brave ancestor who stole it from lightning's heart. Myths are born. Through them, memory survives beyond a single lifetime. And of course, fire also teaches fear. One stray ember, one gust of wind, and everything you love can burn. Entire forests vanish overnight. Ash falls like snow. The same power that protects you can destroy you. You learn respect. You learn that mastery isn't control, it's balance. As centuries pass, fire becomes the heartbeat of civilization. When humans spread from Africa into colder lands, it becomes a necessity. You can't survive without it. You huddle in caves while snow drifts outside. The glow of fire, your only sun. Without it, you'd freeze. With it, you thrive. Every human sense is tied to it now. The smell of smoke means safety. The warmth means home. When you travel, you leave ashes behind as breadcrumbs of existence. Archaeologists thousands of years in the future will find your charred hearths and know, here they lived, here they dreamed. Fire doesn't just change biology, it changes time itself. For the first time, humans control day and night. You don't have to sleep when the sun sets. You can talk, craft, and plan. The rhythm of life bends to your will. Every flickering flame pushes back against the universe's darkness. And yet, sitting there by your fire, you can't help but feel small. The sparks rise and vanish into the sky, joining the stars. You wonder, though you don't have words for it, if there's a connection between the fire in your hands and the fire above. You've discovered heat, light, transformation, but you've also discovered wonder. Long after you're gone, every campfire, every hearth, every candle will carry your legacy. Fire will forge metal, bake bread, light temples, power cities. It will launch rockets and warm homes. It will become both weapon and comfort, both creation and destruction. But tonight, it's just a circle of light in the wilderness, a miracle held in trembling hands. You lean closer, feeding the flames a final stick. The fire pops softly, sparks flying upward like tiny souls. Around you, your tribe sleeps, faces peaceful. You watch the coals pulse red, fading slowly to black, and before your eyes close, you understand something wordless and eternal. This warmth, this light, this fragile glow in the endless dark, is what it means to be human. The first light of dawn crawls across the plains, painting the grass gold. The air is cool, the wind sharp, and you can smell the faint musk of animals moving somewhere beyond sight. Your stomach growls. The hunt begins. Around you, a small band of men and women crouches low, silent, eyes fixed on the horizon. You grip your wooden spear, its tip hardened in the fire from last night. The ground is damp beneath your feet, soft with the prints of hooves. Somewhere ahead, there's meat, life, warmth, survival. You aren't the strongest predator out here. Lions are faster, leopards strike harder. Even the hyenas outnumber you. But you have something none of them do: patience. You can think, plan, communicate. You can endure. You're a persistence hunter. While other predators pounce and fail, you follow, you walk, you track, you wait. The prey runs, tires, and finally collapses. You arrive steady, quiet, ready. Tracking is an art older than language. You kneel and touch the earth, feeling the edge of a print. You can tell by its depth how heavy the animal is, by its direction where it's heading, by its freshness, how far ahead it might be. You sniff the air, catch a faint scent of dust and sweat. You point a simple motion, and your tribe understands. No words, just instinct and trust. The hunt begins to move. For hours, you follow the herd of antelope under a burning sun. The air shimmers with heat. Sweat stings your eyes, but you keep walking. One person carries a skin of water, another carries spears. When you grow tired, someone takes your place. This is teamwork. No leader, no rank, only the rhythm of shared survival. Every step syncs to a single heartbeat. You finally spot them in the distance, slender shapes flickering through tall grass. You crouch, signaling a halt. The group fans out, circling silently. The air feels electric. You grip your spear tighter, your heart pounding. Then with one short breath, you rise and throw. The spear cuts the air, a whisper turning into thunder. It strikes true. The animal stumbles, then falls. A cheer burst from your throat, primal and proud. You run to it, panting, the grass slapping your legs. The others follow. The animal's sides still heave, its eyes wide. Someone kneels, murmurs a small sound, not quite a word, but a gesture of respect. You've learned, over countless hunts, that taking life means giving thanks. The kill isn't cruelty, it's a pact. You eat, but you honor what feeds you. The line between predator and prey is thin. The carcass is heavy, but together you lift it. You cut with stone blades, dividing the meat evenly. Everyone gets a share, hunters, children, elders. Nothing is wasted. Bones are cracked for marrow, hide for clothing, sinew for rope, fat for firelight. Even death serves life. Around the fire that night, you eat, laugh, and rest. The smoke curling into the sky like a hymn. Hunting teaches you everything about the world, how to move, how to read, how to feel. You learn the language of tracks, the whispers of wind. You notice which birds call before rain, which insects swarm near death. The world becomes your textbook, and the hunt your teacher. The more you observe, the more you belong to the land. But hunting is never just survival, it's identity. The best hunters become legends. Their names are whispered long after they're gone. Their skill admired, their courage retold beside every fire. In every generation, the young dream of the first perfect throw, the first shared feast. The hunt becomes ritual, woven into stories, dances, even art. On the walls of caves, you paint it: lions leaping, humans chasing, spears flying. You capture not just what you do, but who you are. And hunting isn't just for men. Women, too, play their part. Setting traps, gathering, watching the horizon. Some join the chase, swift and fierce. Others track smaller prey, hares, birds, lizards with nets and slings. The balance between hunter and gatherer isn't division. It's partnership. Without one, the other starves. Every role matters. When the hunt fails, the lessons cut deep. A wrong step, a missed signal, and someone doesn't come back. You find their broken spear, maybe a trail of blood. Grief is old, older than words. The tribe sits in silence that night. No songs, no laughter, but by morning life demands motion again. You rise, sharpen your blades, and walk once more. The dead would expect nothing less. Sometimes, the hunter becomes the hunted. You know that feeling? The slow realization that the forest has gone too quiet. The hair on your arms rises, the back of your neck prickles. You turn and in the shadows, eyes watch you. The lion crouches low, muscles coiled. You freeze, your heart hammering. For a moment, both of you hesitate. The perfect balance between fear and courage. Then instinct takes over. You grab your burning branch, swing it wide, and shout. The lion flinches, confused by your defiance. You live another day. This push and pull between death and survival shapes your spirit. The hunt becomes more than a meal. It becomes meaning. It teaches patience, humility, gratitude. It teaches respect for the cycle that governs all life. You take only what you need, because you understand how thin the line is between abundance and hunger. The rhythm of your days is timeless. Wake with the sun, move with the herds, rest when darkness comes. You learn migration by heart, following animals north and south, east and west. The stars become your map. You notice that some constellations rise only when certain fruits ripen or when rains are near. The heavens themselves guide your spear. The hunt changes not only your body, but your mind. Your eyes sharpen, your coordination improves, your memory strengthens. You begin to picture hunts before they happen, to imagine strategy before action. This imagination, the ability to see what doesn't yet exist, is what will one day build cities, write songs, and reach the stars. For now, it just helps you catch dinner. When the kill is done, when the fire has burned low, the tribe gathers close. The elders speak softly, retelling hunts of old. You listen, half dreaming, the warmth of food and flame in your belly. These stories become your inheritance. They remind you that life is fragile, but glorious, that courage feeds more than the body, it feeds the soul. The hunter's world is not gentle, but it's honest. There's no greed, no waste, no cruelty for pleasure. You take because you must, and you give back what you can. The earth provides, but only if you respect her balance. In this ancient contract, humanity finds its first morality. Tomorrow, you'll hunt again. You'll wake before dawn, scan the horizon, and listen to the wind. You'll follow tracks, test your endurance, and face the same dangers your ancestors faced. But when you stand on that plain, the spear steady in your hand, you'll feel something deep, something that still lives in you today. The quiet thrill of being part of the wild, not apart from it. You don't yet have a word for freedom, but you know exactly how it feels. Bare feet in the grass, breath in your chest, and a world so wide it has no edges. The hunter's heart beats fast, fierce, and alive beneath a sky that has never heard of civilization. And for a long, long time, that's all humanity needs to be. The hunt may feed your body, but the gathering feeds your days. Not every morning brings a successful kill. Some dawns are empty, tracks gone cold, prey vanished, bellies growling. That's when the gatherers take over. They move quietly through the forest, eyes sharp, hands gentle, reading the land like a book written in green. You may picture them bending beneath trees, baskets woven from reeds, sunlight sliding through the branches. This is the other half of survival, the slower, wiser rhythm of knowing what grows where and when. Gathering looks simple, but it's an art of deep intelligence. The gatherers remember every season, every scent. They know which roots hold water, which berries heal fever, which mushrooms bring sleep or death. They teach by showing this leaf, not that one. This color means ripeness, that smell means rot. They carry a map of knowledge in their minds, passed from mother to daughter, father to child, generation after generation. Long before anyone wrote words, humanity already wrote memory into its habits. You kneel beside a bush, heavy with fruit. The skin glistens dark red, the taste both sweet and wild. You eat a handful, then save the rest, carrying them home in animal hide. The seeds will scatter along your path as you walk. You don't know it yet, but you're planting the future, accidentally sowing the first gardens of humanity. Life, for gatherers, follows the rhythm of the earth. When the rains come, plants sprout everywhere, mushrooms, herbs, tender shoots. You feast. When the dry season burns the grass, you move toward rivers and shade, digging for tubers with pointed sticks. The soil is hard, your hands rough, but each root you pull is life. You learn to look for signs, ants leading to moisture, birds circling fruit trees, the smell of blossoms in the wind. The land speaks, and you learn to listen. It's not only food you gather. You collect everything: bark for shelter, vines for rope, shells for decoration, sap for medicine. Every discovery becomes a tool, a lesson, a song. When someone finds a new plant that soothes pain or heals wounds, the tribe gathers to remember its name, its shape, its color. Knowledge is shared, not owned. In a world without books, generosity is the library. The gatherers are philosophers of patience. While hunters chase motion, they chase time. They wait for buds to bloom, for fruit to ripen, for bees to vanish, before stealing honey. They know the pulse of the seasons, the breathing of the earth. They can look at a single leaf and know whether rain will fall or frost will come. Their wisdom is subtle, and without it, humanity would have starved before it ever dreamed of cities. Women, in many places, become the keepers of this garden world. Their baskets fill with fruit, roots, nuts, seeds, the daily bread of the tribe. They teach children how to dig with care, how to leave some plants behind, so they'll grow again. Sustainability isn't a theory, it's instinct. To take too much is to die later. To take wisely is to live forever. Around the fire at night, the gatherers tell stories about plants. A root that hides from greedy hands, a flower that blooms only when the moon is full. These aren't just tales, they're memory disguised as myth, ways to make survival unforgettable. The story will last longer than an instruction. You don't forget that the red berry belongs to the snake spirit, because you remember the fear. Myth is science written in poetry. Over time, you begin to shape your environment. You burn small patches of land to encourage new growth, clearing space for edible plants. You leave certain seeds behind when moving camp, noticing that they sprout when you return months later. Slowly, almost unconsciously, humanity begins to experiment with control. The first steps toward farming aren't plows and fields. They're the gatherer's quiet intuition. You can imagine one woman kneeling near a stream, dropping seeds into the mud for later. When she returns and finds them sprouting, she smiles. The idea of growing your own food, the revolution that will one day build empires, starts here, in a single moment of curiosity. The gatherers also master preservation. You learn to dry fruits in the sun, to smoke fish over embers, to bury roots in cool soil for storage. You've created the first pantry. With food that lasts, you no longer depend solely on luck. Hunger becomes manageable, and that stability gives space for imagination to grow. When the stomach is full, the mind begins to dream. Medicinal knowledge grows alongside food. Someone notices that chewing willow bark eases pain, that honey heals wounds, that certain herbs calm the sick. You experiment, guided by trial and error, and sometimes by sheer courage. The gatherers become healers. The first doctors, they mix leaves, grind seeds, brew teas, whisper prayers. Illness, once only fate, becomes a challenge to be faced. The gathering life also gives rise to beauty. With more plants come more colors. You crush berries to make dyes, stain your hands red, yellow, green. You decorate hides, beads, shells. Ornamentation begins, not as vanity but as celebration proof that life is more than struggle. You braid flowers into hair, paint faces before rituals, wear necklaces made from seeds. Every adornment says, "We are alive, we remember." And gathering isn't always peaceful. You face dangers here too. Snakes hidden under roots, thorns that tear skin, rival bands who see your grove as theirs. Sometimes fights break out, not for land, but for the bounty it gives. Even then, it's the gatherer's wisdom that keeps peace. They know there's enough if you move, share, and wait. When evening comes, the camp smells of roasted roots and herbs. The air is thick with the scent of smoke, sap, and sweet fruit. Children chew on berries, elders sip broth. You lie back, full and drowsy, listening to the crackle of the fire. Around you, the tribe hums softly, a lullaby to the rhythm of survival. You can almost hear the earth breathing with you. In the stillness, you realize something profound. The forest is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Every tree, every river, every seed holds a lesson. You are not above it. You are part of it. You take, you give, you live. In that balance lies harmony. Thousands of years later, this knowledge will birth agriculture, medicine, art, even religion. But for now, it's enough to simply exist, to walk barefoot through tall grass, to taste sweetness from a branch, to fill your hands with the generosity of the wild. The hunter may chase the future, but the gatherer remembers the present. Between them, humanity learns both ambition and gratitude. And somewhere in that balance between hunger and satisfaction, between taking and giving, the human soul begins to bloom. You fall asleep that night beneath a canopy of stars, your fingers stained with berry juice, your heart calm. The world hums softly around you. Tomorrow, the hunt will call again, but tonight the earth feeds you gently, like a mother. The wind rises just before sunset, a low moaning through the tall grass. The air tastes like dust, like rain waiting to fall. You look at the sky and know you need cover. The light is fading fast, and clouds the color of ash gather on the horizon. Somewhere, thunder rolls. It's time to find shelter. In the beginning, home isn't a fixed place. It's wherever you can survive the night. Sometimes it's a hollow tree, sometimes a rock ledge, sometimes a cave where animals once slept. You don't build walls yet, you borrow them from the earth. You curl up against the stone, feel the heat of your companions beside you, and wait for the storm to pass. The smell of damp fur, smoke, and soil fills the air. Home for now is warmth and closeness. As you grow wiser, the idea of shelter begins to take shape. You start to notice how nature itself builds. Birds weave nests, beavers stack branches, termites raise towers that defy wind. You learn by watching. You start to gather sticks, pile leaves, drag branches into rough domes. The first huts appear fragile, uneven, but miraculous. For the first time, you don't just hide from the weather, you resist it. A simple hut means everything. It's protection from rain, from wind, from the cold that seeps into bones. It's also a symbol, a circle of safety in a dangerous world. Fire burns at its center, smoke curling through a hole in the roof. Inside, you feel something new. Privacy. For the first time, there's a line between outside and in, between the wild and the human. The earliest shelters take many forms, shaped by land and need. On the open plains, you dig shallow pits, line them with grass, and stretch hides across poles. In the forests, you build lean-tos against fallen logs. In colder lands, you stack stones and seal gaps with mud. Each place teaches you something different, and each lesson becomes part of the shared memory of humankind. Soon, you learn that where you build matters as much as how you build. You choose high ground to avoid floods, near rivers for water, near trees for fuel. You face the door away from the wind. You build close enough to see danger, far enough to stay hidden. Geography becomes strategy. Survival becomes architecture. Shelter changes more than your body's comfort. It changes your mind. When you no longer fear every rustle of leaves, your thoughts begin to wander. You decorate the walls with symbols, stack stones carefully, hang bones or feathers as charms. You make it yours. The human instinct to personalize, to shape space into meaning, starts here. Imagine a small camp at dusk. Smoke curls lazily from a cluster of huts. The smell of roasted roots drifts through the air. Children chase one another, their laughter bouncing off stone. Inside, someone hums while scraping a hide. The firelight flickers, and shadows dance along the curved walls. This is no longer a mere camp. It's the beginning of home. In colder places, survival demands ingenuity. You learn to build shelters from snow itself, carving blocks and stacking them in spirals. Primitive igloos that hold warmth better than any tent. You wrap furs around your shoulders, use fire to dry meat, and line the floor with moss. The cold tries to kill you, but you adapt faster than frost can bite. Every new obstacle becomes a teacher. Water, too, demands creativity. You weave reeds into baskets that can carry it, dig pits that collect rain, carve gourds into flasks. You learn to make roofs drip away from your fire, to angle walls against storms. What began as instinct slowly becomes craft. The building of shelter is also the building of community. One hut becomes two, two become a cluster. You share walls, fires, laughter. You build together because one person alone cannot lift enough or cut enough. Cooperation becomes structure. You trade work for safety. The sound of construction, the crack of branches, the thud of stones becomes the heartbeat of early society. Over time, the shelters grow stronger. You mix mud with straw to make bricks. You use bones for frames, hides for doors. Some tribes even dig into the earth itself, creating semi-buried dwellings that stay cool by day and warm by night. When you look at them from afar, they seem to grow out of the land, as if the earth itself shelters its children. But building homes also ties you to one place. You begin to stay longer in familiar valleys, returning to rebuild after migrations. The land starts to feel like yours. You name places, the hill with the cave, the bend in the river, the clearing with good soil. Memory takes root in geography. This is the first whisper of territory, of belonging. Inside the shelters, life unfolds differently. The nights no longer belong entirely to fear. You have time to talk, to rest, to dream. You carve tools, mend clothing, sing to the children. The fire paints everything in warm light, soft and golden. When storms rage outside, the sound on your roof becomes a lullaby. You begin to understand that comfort isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The materials of your shelters reflect who you are. In the savannas, your huts breathe, letting the wind pass through. In the tundra, your domes seal tight against the cold. In the forests, your homes rise like trees, blending into green. Humanity adapts not by changing nature, but by listening to it. The land gives, and you answer with respect. And yet, every shelter also marks a boundary. With safety comes the idea of ownership. That hut is mine. That fire belongs to us. You defend it fiercely. When strangers approach, you hesitate. Will they share or will they take? Conflict is born in the same breath as civilization. A home means security, but it also means something worth losing. Still, the advantages outweigh the dangers. Shelters make families stronger, communities tighter, children survive longer. Elders live to teach. The cycle of birth and death slows just enough for learning to accumulate. And with each generation, your huts grow more refined, your fires more efficient, your bonds more meaningful. As centuries pass, some humans begin carving entire homes into cliffs, their doorways glowing with firelight at night. Others build on riverbanks, their huts reflected in still water. Every innovation, every adjustment is a small miracle of adaptation. One evening, as rain hammers the roof of your shelter, you listen to the storm's rhythm and realize the world is no longer against you. You've learned its moods, its patterns. You can survive its rage, even find beauty in it. Lightning flashes outside, and for a moment, you feel awe instead of fear. You've claimed a piece of the wild, not conquered it, but befriended it. Shelter is more than walls and roof. It's a promise, a declaration that no matter how cruel the elements, how vast the night, you will endure, you will build, repair, and begin again. And long after your hut collapses, long after your campfire cools, the idea of home will remain, the most human invention of all. You lie down on a bed of grass and fur, listening to the rain fade. The fire hums softly, and outside, the stars peek through a clearing sky. You close your eyes, knowing the storm has passed. The walls hold, the warmth lasts. For the first time, you feel safe enough to dream. The world is quiet before language. You can hear the wind in the grass, the rustle of branches, the cry of birds, but not yet words. Your people communicate through movement and sound. A grunt for danger, a hiss for silence, a sharp click for direction. You gesture with hands. Tilt your head, raise your eyebrows. It's enough for hunting, warning, surviving. But something deeper stirs behind your eyes. Something restless. You want not just a signal, you want to say. It begins small. A mother calls her child with a specific sound, a soft hum that no one else uses. The sound becomes theirs, like a thread between hearts. Others copy it. They invent sounds for water, for fire, for night. At first it's messy, half song, half breath, but it works. Slowly, the tribe's noises turn into a pattern, a rhythm, a shared understanding. You sit around the fire one night and listen to the murmurs. It's strange. There's meaning now in the noise. Someone imitates the growl of a lion, and everyone looks toward the darkness. Someone else makes a low rumble, the sound of thunder, and you all nod. This is language before grammar, before rules. It's instinct made audible. The voice becomes as powerful as the spear. You can now call for help across a distance, plan a hunt, comfort a frightened child. You can describe what happened yesterday, imagine what might happen tomorrow. That's the real miracle, not speech itself, but time. Words allow you to step outside the present, to hold both past and future in your mouth. Each sound you make carves the air, invisible but enduring. Around the fire, these sounds become stories. You mimic the chase of an antelope, the leap of a lion, the crash of thunder. Others laugh, gasp, join in. The story grows, each voice adding new rhythm, new detail. And when you finish, the tribe is quiet, breathing as one, united not by blood, but by imagination. You've invented memory that can travel. Language spreads like fire through dry grass. Each tribe develops its own patterns, its own melodies of meaning. Some words are short and sharp, like flint, others long and soft, like wind. You learn to use your tongue, your teeth, your breath, like tools. Speaking becomes an art, a dance of sound, and once it begins, it never stops. It's not just about naming the world. It's about sharing the invisible. You can describe what you feel, what you dream, what you fear. You can warn about things that haven't happened yet. You can lie. No other creature can do that. Words make you dangerous, but they also make you divine. The power of language changes everything. Knowledge, once locked inside one brain, can now jump between generations. The old can teach the young. A healer can describe which herbs to mix. A hunter can explain which tracks belong to which prey. A mother can tell her child, "Don't drink from that river, it's death." Each word becomes a bridge across time. As your vocabulary grows, so does your world. You start naming not just things you see, but things you imagine. The sky, the spirit, the dream. You invent words for ideas that don't exist outside the mind. Hope, love, loss. Language gives you ownership over what was once only emotion. It transforms chaos into meaning. The first songs emerge soon after. Someone hums while grinding grain, keeping rhythm with their work. The hum becomes melody. The melody becomes ritual. Soon you're singing together before hunts, after storms, at births, at deaths. The vibrations of your voices fill the air, chasing away loneliness. The tribe's song becomes its heartbeat, its identity. And where songs live, poetry follows. You notice how words can echo, how they can rise and fall like waves. You find beauty not only in what is said, but in how it's said. You repeat sounds because they feel good in the mouth. You make patterns of rhythm of rhyme. Language, once a tool, becomes music. At the same time, language deepens emotion. You can now apologize, promise, plead. Love can be spoken. So can grief. A mother whispering to her dying child is not just a sound anymore. It's a bridge across the impossible. Words allow you to hold on when everything else slips away. With speech, the structure of society itself shifts. Leaders emerge, not because they are strongest, but because they are clearest. The ones who can speak, who can persuade, who can soothe or inspire. These become the first storytellers, the first chiefs, the first prophets. The tribe follows the voice that paints the best vision of tomorrow. But words also bring danger. Lies creep in. Gossip spreads. Promises break. A voice that can heal can also wound. Language creates trust, and with it, betrayal. The world becomes more complicated, richer, harder. You've traded simplicity for meaning, and you'll never go back. When night falls, the fire crackles and throws light onto the faces of your tribe. One of the elders begins to speak. His voice is rough, his words uneven, but his tone carries power. He tells of a time when humans couldn't speak, when they lived in silence, and how the gods, or perhaps the wind, gave them voice. Children listen wide-eyed. They don't yet know that the story is true, though not in the way it's told. The gift of speech is divine, though born from flesh and time instead of heaven. The fire flickers. The elder's story grows more vivid. He speaks of ancestors who wrestled thunder, of spirits who live in the river, of stars that listen to prayers. Around him, people lean closer. For a moment, they're not cold, not hungry. They're somewhere else. That's what words do. They transport. They make imagination real. As centuries pass, language splinters into thousands of dialects, each carrying its people's soul. One group's word for water sounds like music, another's word for sky hums like wind. But beneath the differences, the purpose is the same: to connect, to understand, to be heard. Somewhere along the line, you begin to name yourself. You touch your chest and say a sound that means me. It's a small miracle. With that word, identity is born. You are no longer just part of the tribe. You are an individual. From that single act of self-naming, all future art, philosophy and conflict will flow. The voices of the past echo into everything. When you call your friend, when you sing, when you whisper, you're using the same miracle your ancestors first discovered under an ancient sky. The shape of your tongue, the rhythm of your breath, all of it carries their memory. If you could travel back and listen to them speak, you wouldn't understand the sounds, but you'd recognize the tone: urgency, affection, wonder, the need to reach out, to make meaning, to connect. That's the most human sound of all. Tonight, as you sit by your own modern fire, screen glow, street-like, candle flame, it's worth remembering the first stories were spoken under stars by people who feared the dark, just like you. The first songs were hummed to keep hope alive. The first words were not written in ink, but in breath. And if you close your eyes, you might still hear them, the voices of the past, whispering through time, reminding you that every sentence you speak carries the echo of the very first word ever said. The morning mist lingers over the valley when you find the body. It's one of your own, someone you hunted beside, laughed with, shared fires with. The tribe gathers in silence, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and smoke. You don't yet have words for death, not really, but you feel it. Something has gone, something invisible yet heavy. The chest no longer rises, the eyes no longer shine. The body remains, but the person, whatever made them then, is gone. That realization changes everything. Until now, life has been a cycle of movement. Hunt, eat, rest, move again. Death interrupts that rhythm. It demands attention, respect, fear. You can't ignore it, so you invent meaning around it. You start to wonder where the breath goes when it leaves the body. You look at the stars at night and imagine your friend walking among them. The concept of spirit is born not from religion, but from love and loss. At first, the rituals are simple. You sit beside the dead for a while, keeping vigil so animals don't come near. Sometimes you cover them with leaves or stones, not just to protect the flesh, but to protect something deeper. You sense that what was alive deserves care, even in stillness. That's the spark of reverence. Over time, burials become more deliberate. You dig shallow graves, wrap the body in hides, lay flowers or tools beside them. Maybe it's practical. You think they'll need those things wherever they're going. Or maybe it's emotional. You can't stand the thought of them leaving empty-handed. Either way, this is the first act of faith in human history. Belief in something beyond sight. The smell of earth fills your nose as you push the first handful of soil into the grave. It's damp, gritty, grounding. The others follow. Their movements slow, rhythmic, almost ceremonial. The sound of dirt striking the hide echoes softly through the valley. Then, silence. For the first time, silence feels sacred. Death begins to shape the living. You avoid certain places where the dead lie. You create spaces for memory, sacred groves, marked stones, caves filled with handprints. You whisper names in the dark, as if the dead can hear. When thunder rolls, you imagine it's them speaking back. When fire flickers strangely, you see faces in the flame. The world fills with unseen presence. Spirits in rivers, voices in wind, eyes in stars. Fear and comfort intertwine. The forest no longer just feeds you, it watches you. The sky no longer just rains, it judges. You start to live not just among animals and elements, but among souls. Somewhere, a shaman is born. Maybe it's a woman who dreams of her dead brother and hears his voice. Maybe it's a man who falls ill and returns with strange visions. The tribe listens, wary but hopeful. If death can speak, perhaps it can also guide. The shaman becomes the bridge, the one who walks between worlds. He or she wears feathers, bones, paint. They dance, chant, burn herbs. Their rituals mix medicine with mystery. The tribe feels safer, believing someone can negotiate with the invisible. Firelight flickers on painted faces as the tribe gathers for a burial. The shaman hums a low song, the rhythm slow and steady. Smoke curls upward, carrying the scent of herbs. You stand there, heart heavy, watching the ceremony unfold. You don't understand everything, but you understand this. Death deserves beauty. You begin to decorate graves with red ochre, the color of blood, of life. To paint the dead is to say, you still matter. Sometimes, you bury them curled like sleeping children, as if they're only resting. Others are laid facing east, toward the sunrise. Rebirth, hope, tomorrow. You can't prove any of it, but belief doesn't need proof. It only needs art and death soon intertwine. In caves, you draw not just hunts, but symbols, circles, spirals, eyes. Maybe they're maps of the stars. Maybe prayers for the afterlife. When you paint a bison or a deer, you're not only remembering the hunt, you're calling its spirit back. You've discovered the power of representation to make something absent present again. Every culture that follows will carry these instincts. Egyptians will build pyramids. Vikings will burn ships. Modern humans will light candles and whisper names. All of it starts here. With you, kneeling beside the first grave, heart aching, mind reaching. As generations pass, the rituals deepen. Some tribes bury small animals with their masters, believing they'll travel together. Others carve totems to watch over the dead. The cave of Shanidar in Iraq holds flowers buried with Neanderthals, proof that compassion predates civilization. Even our distant cousins understood tenderness. Death, it turns out, is the great teacher of empathy. It's not just about mourning, it's about identity. Burials mark belonging. The dead are ours, part of our people, our land. Graves become anchors for memory, and memory becomes history. You begin to stay near your dead, returning to the same sites year after year. Home is no longer just where you live, it's where your ancestors sleep. At night, you lie awake and listen to the forest breathe. Somewhere, an owl calls. The wind rustles through the leaves. You wonder if the sound is only air, or something else, something watching, remembering. You whisper to it, softly, just in case. Fear of death evolves into wisdom. You start to see patterns in life and decay, the way new grass grows over old bones, the way ash feeds soil, the way dawn always follows night. Maybe death isn't the end, maybe it's a doorway. You tell that to your children, and they tell it to theirs. The fear never goes away, but now it has meaning. Death also inspires art, music, and myth. You drum to honor the fallen. You carve faces on rocks to preserve memory. You create songs that keep names alive. Mourning becomes creativity. Sorrow becomes culture. In trying to understand death, you accidentally invent civilization. And through all this, one idea crystallizes: the soul. You can't see it, but you can feel it, like a warmth that lingers after fire dies. You start to believe every person carries a flame inside, one that never fully goes out. You treat others with a little more gentleness, because hurting them feels like offending the unseen. When someone dies now, you light fire near their grave to guide their spirit. Smoke rises into the dark, blending with the stars. The children ask where the smoke goes, and you tell them to the sky, where they watch over us. You don't know if it's true, but the story brings comfort. That's enough. Centuries later, when humans build temples and write scriptures, they'll still be chasing the same truth you discovered in silence: that love is stronger than absence, that memory defies decay, that somewhere beyond this fragile life, something listens. You sit beside the mound, the earth still fresh, and look up at the night sky. The stars seem closer tonight, almost like eyes. The fire beside you crackles softly, throwing light on the stones around the grave. You whisper the name of the one you lost. The flames dance, and for a moment, just a heartbeat, you imagine they answer. That's where faith begins. Not in temples or doctrines, but in the quiet hope that nothing truly disappears. The world grows cold, not the mild chill of winter, but a deep, endless freeze that seeps into the bones of the earth. Snow falls where forests once stood. Ice thickens across the mountains, crawling outward until it swallows valleys, rivers, plains. The horizon turns white. Breath becomes visible, even in daylight. The ice age has arrived. You stand on the edge of this frozen world, wrapped in furs stitched together with sinew, your breath clouding in front of you. The air stings your lungs. Behind you, smoke curls from the camp's small fire. Ahead lies a vast, gleaming emptiness. Food is scarce, but you can't stay. The herds have moved north. If you don't follow, you'll starve. So you begin to walk. Your feet crunch over frost-hardened ground. The sound sharp and steady. The sun, pale and distant, offers little warmth. You clutch your child close, sharing body heat beneath layers of hide. Around you, the tribe moves in silence, each step a decision between life and death. The world has never felt so big or so lonely. Migration isn't new. Your ancestors have always followed food, water, safety. But now, the distances are greater. The dangers harsher. Glaciers block paths you once knew. Frozen rivers fracture beneath your feet. The earth itself seems to shift. Yet still you move, driven by the same force that carried your kind from Africa long ago. Survival, and something more, something curious and defiant. The instinct, not just to endure, but to see what's beyond the horizon. Fire keeps you alive, as always. You huddle around it at night, its glow fragile against the vast dark. Sparks fly upward, vanishing into the wind, like lost souls. The children sleep close to their parents, faces half hidden in fur. You whisper stories not to teach or entertain, but to remind everyone why they keep walking. Stories are warmth of another kind. Your tools evolve in the cold. The old stone blades snap too easily, so you shape new ones, thinner and sharper. You carve spear tips from bone, fasten them with rawhide, harden them in fire. You invent needles from antler, and sew tighter clothing. You scrape hides to make boots. Every small adaptation is an act of genius, necessity shaping invention. The animals change too. Mammoths trudge through the snow, their tusks curved like crescents. Woolly rhinos graze in the frozen steppe. Reindeer, bison, and elk form herds so massive they shake the ground when they move. You follow them across icy plains, hunting, harvesting, surviving. Their fat keeps you warm, their hides clothe your children, their bones become tools. You take everything but you waste nothing. Sometimes, the world rewards your endurance. The clouds part, revealing a blue sky so sharp it hurts to look at. The sun glints off ice, dazzling. You pause, chest heaving, to breathe in the clean air. For a moment, the cold feels less like punishment and more like purity. The earth is harsh, but it's also beautiful, an untouched cathedral of frost and silence. As centuries pass, humans spread farther than ever before. From Africa, into the Middle East, from there into Asia, then across the endless tundras of Siberia. Each generation moves a little farther, building on the paths of the last. They cross mountains, rivers, and frozen lakes. They learn to read the stars, to follow the migrations of animals, to sense direction by wind and sun. Eventually, one small band reaches a place where the ocean freezes solid in winter. They walk across it, slowly, carefully following herds that don't know the difference between continents. Unknowingly, they cross into a new world, North America. The land bridge between Siberia and Alaska is open for only a brief window in history, but that's enough. Humanity now spans the globe. Every step you take carries the memory of fire and stone, of voices and dreams. You bring everything with you, your tools, your myths, your fears, your laughter. When you make camp in a new place, you tell the same old stories beneath unfamiliar stars. The constellations shift, but their meanings stay. You call on ancestors whose graves lie oceans away, and somehow they answer. The Ice Age world is cruel, but stunning. Herds move like rivers of fur. Wolves follow in silence, their breath steaming. The ground crunches underfoot, brittle as bone. The air smells of snow and blood. Sometimes, auroras dance above you, ribbons of green fire weaving across the sky. You stop to stare, heart pounding, convinced the spirits of the dead are walking above. You whisper to them, asking for luck. But not every journey ends in triumph. The cold claims lives. Fingers blacken with frostbite. Babies fade in their mother's arms. Storms bury camps overnight. You learn to listen for the creak of shifting ice, the warning groan before collapse. Every day is a test of endurance, and yet, against all odds, you endure. You always endure. In time you find new landscapes, forests of pine and spruce, valleys teeming with life, rivers rich with fish. You learn to hunt smaller animals with traps, to build shelters from snow and wood. The seasons teach you patience. You move with the rhythm of thaw and freeze, always adapting. Migration shapes not just your body, but your mind. You become planners, innovators, dreamers. You learn to imagine not just where you are, but where you could go. The concept of the future takes root. Every footprint in the snow is a prophecy. We will survive here too. Children grow up on the move, learning to read landscapes before they can speak fully. They know which ice is safe, which trees burn best, which direction birds fly before storms. Knowledge becomes instinct, passed from one generation to the next like breath. And when the glaciers finally begin to melt slowly, over centuries you watch rivers roar back to life. Lakes form where valleys once lay buried. Forests creep north again. The earth warms, and with it, hope. You follow the retreating ice, settling in new lands, planting the seeds, literally and metaphorically, of civilization. The end of the Ice Age doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like awakening. The world you step into is green, rich, alive. The snow recedes, and with it goes the silence. Birds return, insects hum, trees bloom, the air smells of thawing soil. For the first time in millennia you don't have to walk, you can stop, build, stay. Yet even as you rest, you carry the memory of migration in your blood. The urge to move, to explore, never fades. It's the same spark that once made your ancestors leave Africa, that pushed them across ice and ocean, that will one day send their descendants to the stars. The world is large, and humans were never meant to stay still. As night falls, you sit by your fire, its warmth a small echo of the sun. The ice still gleams faintly in the distance, but the air around you is soft, forgiving. You look up at the sky, at the shimmering bands of light, and smile. The spirits of the old world are still watching, but now they look less like ghosts, and more like guardians. You've survived the cold, you've crossed the world, you've carried humanity's flame through an age of frost and fear, and kept it burning. Deep in a limestone cave, the air is cool and still. The flicker of firelight dances across rough walls, revealing a scene that has waited for tens of thousands of years. The light catches a smear of red ochre, then a shape, a curve, a line. You lean closer, heart thudding. There it is, a horse galloping, its muscles alive in motion. Above it, handprints, ghostly human, reaching through time. You can almost feel their warmth. Someone stood here, just like you, with pigment on their fingers and a story to tell. This is where art begins. Not in palaces or temples, but in darkness, in whispers, in the hush between breath and echo. You can imagine it, a small band of humans entering this cave with torches of burning resin, the smoke curling up, the light trembling. They are hunters, gatherers, wanderers. But tonight, they are something more. They are creators. The artist kneels before the wall, grinding minerals, ochre, charcoal, crushed stone into powder. They mix it with animal fat, or water, dip a stick or their fingers, and begin to draw. Lines flow with confidence, shaped by memory and emotion. The bison they paint has movement, the deer has grace. These are not doodles, they are invocations. Each stroke is a bridge between the real and the imagined, the living and the spiritual. No one knows exactly why they painted. Maybe it was ritual, to summon good fortune for the hunt. Maybe it was storytelling to remember what had been seen. Or maybe it was something even deeper, the first stirring of beauty for its own sake. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. Humans claiming imagination as their birthright. You picture them at work, the children watch, eyes wide. The flames flicker, casting shadows that make the painted animals seem to move, alive on the rock. Someone hums softly, a rhythm rising from deep in the chest. The walls echo. It's hypnotic, ancient, holy. You realize art was never separate from magic. It was magic. Outside the cave, the world is harsh. Ice, hunger, predators. But inside, color blooms. The pigments shine in torchlight like captured sunset. Here, in this place of stone and bone, humans create a world they can control. When you paint a bison, you own it. When you carve a mammoth from ivory, you hold its spirit in your hand. Art becomes survival through imagination. Sculpture comes next. Someone picks up a piece of mammoth ivory and begins carving. Slowly a shape emerges, a small figurine, a woman with round hips and full breasts, the Venus of the Ice Age. She's not a goddess yet, not exactly, but she's powerful. She represents fertility, life, endurance, the things that matter most when survival hangs by a thread. You carry her in your pouch, touch her before a hunt, whisper to her before sleep. Faith, art, and hope merge into one. As time passes, art spreads beyond caves. You decorate tools with patterns, carve lines into bones, etch zigzags onto shells. You tattoo skin with ash and pigment, paint faces for ceremonies, adorn bodies with beads and feathers. Every mark is a declaration. I exist. In a world that forgets easily, art becomes memory made visible. The materials themselves tell stories. Ochre for blood, charcoal for night, white chalk for spirit. You learn to mix them, layer them, make contrast. You blow pigment through hollow bones, leaving outlines of your hands. The first signatures in history. Each one says, I was here. I mattered. The creation of art also reshapes the human brain. It teaches pattern, abstraction, planning. You start to see the world not just as it is, but as it could be. The leap from cave paintings to skyscrapers, from bone flutes to symphonies, is vast, but the spark is the same. Imagination is evolution's greatest invention. Even the act of making art changes how you see. You start noticing the curve of an animal's muscles, the color of the sunset, the texture of fur. You pay attention to detail because detail is beauty, and beauty is survival. The artist's eye becomes humanity's secret weapon. It trains the mind to imagine possibilities before they exist. Music joins the paintings. Someone drills holes into a bone and blows. Soft, trembling notes fill the cave. The sound is eerie, fragile, eternal. It echoes off the walls, mixing with the crackle of fire. Others clap, hum, stamp feet. The rhythm grows. The first concert in history plays out in a world still ruled by silence. You can imagine the feeling. The way music stirs something wordless inside you, something ancient. It binds the tribe together, synchronizing heartbeats and breath. It heals grief, amplifies joy, makes fear bearable. Where words fail, melody speaks. As centuries pass, these artistic impulses deepen. Tribes carry decorated tools as symbols of identity. Songs become traditions, passed through generations. Patterns on clothing distinguish one group from another. Culture is born, a shared language of color, sound, and symbol. And yet, for all its beauty, art is also power. The one who paints the story shapes how others remember it. The artist becomes the first historian, the first myth maker. When you tell your children about a great hunt or a terrifying storm, you don't just describe, you shape memory. You choose which parts endure. You begin to control time itself. In the painted caves of Lusco, Chauvet, and Altamira, you can still see those choices. The bison charge, the horses gallop, the handprints bloom across stone like petals. They are not random. They are messages reaching across 30,000 years, saying, we were here, we dreamed too. Art gives humanity something no predator ever had. The ability to transcend the moment. When the hunt fails, you can still paint it. When winter starves you, you can still sing. When death takes a friend, you can still carve their face into bone. Art doesn't deny suffering, it transforms it. You can almost smell the cave, the musk of animal fat torches, the tang of pigment dust, the warmth of bodies pressed close. You can hear the faint echo of footsteps, the hiss of breath as someone blows ochre onto the wall. You can see, in that trembling light, a face much like your own, eyes intent, hands steady, heart full of wonder. What drives that person isn't just need, it's joy. A quiet defiance of the dark, a refusal to let beauty die, even when the world is cruel. Thousands of years later, when humans build cathedrals and write poetry, they'll still be chasing that same feeling. The urge to leave a mark that says, I was more than dust. The artist in the cave was the first rebel, the first dreamer, the first human who dared to imagine immortality. And, as you stand now, torch in hand, gazing at those painted walls, you understand something profound. These aren't just pictures. They are mirrors. The hands that made them are your hands. The dreams that shape them are your dreams. The art hasn't faded. The story hasn't ended. The fire still burns, deep in the cave of your mind, whispering the same ancient truth, that to create is to be alive. Morning mist lifts from the valley as the tribe awakens. Smoke rises from dying embers. Children's laughter echoes faintly, and the smell of roasted roots and drying hides fills the air. It's another day in the long, endless rhythm of human life, but something fundamental has changed. You're no longer just a handful of hunters and gatherers traveling together. You're a tribe, a family larger than blood. It starts small, like everything else in human history. A few families banding together for safety. Alone, you can't guard the fire, hunt and protect the children all at once. But together you can. Strength in numbers isn't just survival, it's civilization's seed. The tribe becomes your shield, your teacher, your identity. You live close, in shared space. The huts circle a central fire where meals, stories, and decisions happen. The boundaries of mine and yours blur. Food is shared, danger is shared, joy is shared. There's a kind of equality here, not because anyone declared it, but because it works. If one starves, all starve. If one thrives, all thrive. Kinship ties everything together. Blood relationships stretch outward like roots, connecting cousins, in-laws, friends who become family. You develop words for them: mother, brother, uncle, elder. Each person has a place, a role, a story. The old care for the young, the strong hunt for the weak. You measure wealth, not in possessions, but in people. The tribe's rhythm is ancient and steady. The day begins with the hunters leaving camp, spears and nets slung over shoulders. The gatherers head for the forest, baskets woven from reeds. Children stay near the fire, learning by imitation. The elders sit together, telling stories, part memory, part myth, part moral lesson. Everyone knows what to do without being told. It's easy to romanticize this world, but it's not without tension. Jealousy simmers, tempers flare, and sometimes disputes arise over food, mates, or territory. But even conflict is managed through cooperation. When two people argue, the whole group listens. The elders mediate, voices calm, reasoning slow. There are no courts or prisons, just understanding that peace is cheaper than division. The concept of leadership appears gradually. The leader isn't a tyrant, but a guide. Someone who speaks well, remembers well, inspires courage in the hunt, or wisdom in drought. Authority isn't inherited yet. It's earned through respect. A good leader knows when to speak and when to listen, when to risk lives, and when to save them. The tribe's strength lies not in obedience, but in trust. Trust? Yes, that's the invisible fabric holding everything together. Without it, there's no sharing of food, no group hunts, no collective defense. You rely on it like you rely on breath. The tribe becomes an ecosystem of emotions, loyalty, generosity, guilt, pride. These aren't abstract ideas. They're survival strategies shaped by evolution. The selfish don't last long. The generous leave descendants. You learn to read faces, to sense moods, to anticipate anger or affection. This emotional intelligence, this empathy, becomes your most powerful adaptation. Other animals may have claws or fangs, but you have compassion. It allows dozens of people to live in tight quarters without tearing each other apart. It allows humanity to grow. Rituals emerge to strengthen bonds. Shared meals, dances, chants, and stories create unity. You might dance around the fire after a successful hunt, stamping feet, shouting in rhythm. You might sing when someone is born or when someone dies. You might paint your bodies the same color before the hunt, symbolizing oneness. The ritual says what words cannot. We are one tribe. We belong to each other. Love and pair bonding also evolve. Mates stay together longer, raising children cooperatively. The burden of parenting is shared. Siblings, grandparents, friends, all play roles. The idea of the nuclear family doesn't exist yet. Childhood is a communal experience. Every child belongs to everyone. That's why, even now, humans are wired to care for strangers' children. We're built to parent as a tribe. The fireside becomes the first parliament. At night, people gather to discuss what matters, where to move next, which rivers are safe, who's sick, what the signs of the stars mean. The discussions are long and passionate, sometimes heated, often humorous. Every voice matters, because every life depends on the decision. The outcome is consensus, not command. Democracy, it seems, was born long before cities. Shared work deepens connection. Building a shelter, curing meat, weaving nets, all are acts of cooperation. You learn to synchronize your efforts, to divide tasks by skill rather than dominance. A good hunter doesn't just kill well, he teaches others. A good gatherer doesn't hoard knowledge, she shares it. The tribe thrives on generosity. Of course, not every tribe lives peacefully. As human populations grow, groups occasionally meet, and not always as friends. Some encounters end in trade, meat for shells, flint for dyes. Others end in violence. Territory becomes identity. Resources become cause for defense. But even in war there are rules, unspoken understandings about limits. You kill only what threatens. You respect the fallen. Somewhere in that moral space, humanity's first ethics are born. Over time, tribes begin to develop distinct personalities. One is known for its dancers, another for its hunters, another for its healers. Culture starts to form, unique customs, songs, dialects, and myths. You know who you are, not just by your face, but by your story. You begin to tell the story of your people as something bigger than yourself. We are the ones who crossed the mountains. We are the children of the river. Identity expands from I to we. Art deepens this sense of belonging. You carve symbols into totems, paint your hands on the walls of your camp, sing the same songs each season. These shared acts become emotional glue. They remind you that even when individuals die, the tribe lives on. Its immortality, through community. Children absorb it all. They learn through imitation, through play, through story. When they sit by the fire, eyes wide, listening to tales of ancestors and spirits, they're not just entertained, they're shaped. Culture is education disguised as wonder. The tribe also cares for its sick and old. You no longer abandon the weak, as animals often do. A hunter with a broken leg is fed. A blind elder is listened to. Why? Because you understand something profound. Every person has value, not just for what they can do now, but for what they've already given. Gratitude becomes moral law. Seasons turn. Children grow. Elders die. The tribe continues, adapting, moving, surviving. When famine strikes, you tighten belts and share. When abundance comes, you feast and laugh. The rhythm of life beats on, measured not by years, but by stories told, and faces remembered. In moments of celebration, you dance around the fire until dawn. The drums echo off hills. The ground shakes with stomping feet. You raise your voice and feel it join with others in a single, thunderous rhythm. It's not just music, it's unity made audible. In that heartbeat of sound you feel something ancient and infinite, the comfort of belonging. As dawn breaks, you watch smoke drift upward, curling into the pale sky. Around you, your people stretch, yawn, smile. You're tired, but not alone. The tribe is your world, a web of trust, affection, and memory that stretches backward into ancestors and forward into children, yet unborn. Civilization will one day build walls, laws, cities, but all of it will rest on this simple truth, discovered by firelight. We survive not because we are the strongest, but because we are together. You glance around at your companions. The hunters sharpening spears, the gatherers braiding baskets, the children laughing near the ashes, and you realize something quietly profound. This, right here, is the first miracle of humankind. Not fire, not tools, not speech. Connection. The morning sun spills across the camp, catching the smoke that drifts lazily from the dying fire. You hear the sounds of life beginning again. Footsteps in the grass, voices murmuring, the soft rhythm of someone grinding seeds between stones. The tribe moves with purpose, each person already knowing what must be done. There are no schedules or written rules, no chiefs barking orders, and yet everything works. This is balance, the silent choreography of survival. In this world there are no men's jobs or women's jobs in the way future societies will define them. There is only what needs doing, and who can do it best. Still, patterns emerge, not from inequality, but from biology, from rhythm, from the needs of the group. Men tend to hunt more, their larger frames and endurance suited to the chase. Women often gather, their sharp eyes and patience perfect for finding edible plants, roots and herbs. But these roles overlap. When prey is scarce, women join the hunt. When berries ripen in abundance, men gather too. Survival doesn't care about pride. Women are the steady heart of the tribe. They gather food that sustains daily life. Nuts, grains, roots, fruits, providing far more calories than hunting ever could. They know the seasons like songs, the taste of each plant, the right time to harvest, the right way to store. They are healers and teachers, passing on the knowledge that keeps everyone alive. When someone falls ill, it's a woman who mixes herbs into medicine, who knows which leaves soothe fever or stop bleeding. The world calls them gatherers, but they are the tribe's memory keepers. And then there's childbirth, the most dangerous and miraculous act of all. You can imagine it, a small shelter, dimly lit, the mother's cries rising and falling with the rhythm of pain. Around her, other women move with practiced calm, offering water, holding hands, whispering encouragement. They've done this before. They know how to turn fear into focus. When the baby finally emerges, slick and red and squirming, the camp erupts with relief. A new life has joined the circle. The women clean, wrap and rock the infant, their laughter mingling with tears. For a moment the entire world feels smaller, softer, infinite. Men are the tribe's horizon. They chase danger so others don't have to. They track, hunt, and protect. Their world is open, sun, sweat, blood, distance. They leave camp before dawn and return after sunset, carrying the weight of risk on their shoulders. But courage isn't the same as dominance. They know their strength means nothing without the tribe's support, without food gathered, fires tended, children raised. A hunter returns not to glory, but to gratitude, and to the hands that will cook, divide and preserve what he brings. Between men and women, there is interdependence, not hierarchy. They are halves of one whole, each completing the other. When men hunt mammoths, women tan the hides into clothing. When women harvest fruit, men carve containers to store it. The tribe doesn't survive through competition, it survives through cooperation. At night, when the work is done, roles dissolve completely. Around the fire, everyone is equal. The hunters tell stories, but so do the mothers. The children listen to both. The laughter is shared, the songs are shared, the silence is shared. It's only later, thousands of years later, when agriculture and property arrive, that power will tilt and balance will break. But for now, in this ancient age, humanity still remembers equality as instinct. The bond between men and women goes beyond work. It's emotional, spiritual. Love exists here, though it's not yet written in poems. You see it in the way a father plays with his child after a long hunt, the way a woman mends her partner's wounds with tender patience. You see it in the glances exchanged across the fire, the quiet comfort of shared fatigue. It's not romance as we think of it, but something steadier, a partnership built on need and trust. And yet, emotions are as complex then as now. Jealousy flickers like sparks. A shared partner becomes a cause of quiet tension. A hunter's death leaves a widow alone, unsure if the tribe will care for her children. But it does, because survival has no space for cruelty. The community absorbs the grief, redistributes responsibility. No one is truly alone. Elders, too, play their part. Old women are revered as healers and midwives. Old men as storytellers and teachers. Their wrinkles are not marks of weakness, but of knowledge. They carry history and memory, guiding the young not through power, but through wisdom. You don't discard your elders, you gather around them. When they speak, the fire goes quiet. The exchange between genders is fluid and sacred. Women may lead during childbirth, harvest, or healing. Men may lead in battle or migration. But leadership itself is temporary, a response to circumstance, not a claim of authority. No crown, no throne, no hierarchy, just mutual respect shaped by survival. You can picture an evening after a successful hunt. The air smells of cooked meat and pine smoke. The hunters sit near the fire, tired but proud. The women distribute the food, ensuring fairness. Children sneak bites and giggle. The elders smile. Then one woman begins to sing, a low, steady melody about the hunt, about gratitude. Soon others join in. The men add rhythm with sticks against logs, and before long, the whole camp moves in unison, dancing beneath the stars. There's no male or female here, just human. The division of tasks also leads to balance in knowledge. Men map the terrain beyond the camp, the hills, rivers, and animal paths. Women map the terrain within it, the plants, seasons, and cycles of life. Together, their knowledge completes the world. It's not just cooperation, it's complementarity. Each holds half of reality, and together they create understanding. You might think the hunter's world is harsher, more heroic, but it's the gatherers who shape time. Their rhythm is patient, cyclical, tied to growth and harvest. They measure seasons not in kills but in blooms. They remind the tribe of continuity, of returning patterns. Without them, humans would live only from moment to moment. Women teach the tribe to think long-term, to save, to plan, to wait. Civilization will one day depend on that skill. Even the way humans see beauty evolves here. The first ornaments, shells, beads, painted skin, often come from women's hands. Decoration is not vanity, it's identity. A bead necklace says, I am part of this tribe. A painted face says, I belong to this ceremony. Adornment becomes communication, just as vital as language. Children learn by watching both parents. Boys see their fathers hunt, but also see them carve, cook, and sing. Girls see their mothers gather, but also see them defend, decide, and teach. Gender isn't confinement, it's guidance. It tells you what you can do, not what you must do. As years pass and generations grow, you notice that the balance holds, because it's built on empathy. Men understand that without women, there's no life. Women understand that without men, there's no protection. But more than that, both understand that without love, whether romantic, familial, or communal, there's no meaning. When the fire burns low and the night stretches deep, you watch the tribe settle into sleep. A mother hums softly to her baby. A man sharpens a spear, lost in thought. Two children chase fireflies, laughing. The stars above twinkle like embers scattered across the sky. In this quiet moment, you realize something eternal. Humanity's strength has never come from domination, but from balance. The masculine and feminine are not opposites, they are mirrors. One protects, one nurtures, both create. Together, they turn survival into life. Thousands of years from now, when cities rise and hierarchies form, the memory of this harmony will linger in lullabies, in myths of mother goddesses and warrior fathers, in the way love still feels older than civilization itself. You close your eyes listening to the steady breathing of your tribe. Somewhere, an owl calls. The fire pops softly. And you understand, for all the tools, words, and fires humanity has made, the greatest invention is still the simple act of caring for one another. Dawn spills gently across the horizon, brushing gold over the grasslands, and the sleeping forms scattered around the dying fire. You can hear the soft snoring of elders, the faint murmur of women waking to feed infants, and then the unmistakable sound of laughter. A small figure darts through the morning mist, bare feet slapping the ground, hair tangled with twigs and feathers. Another child chases close behind, clutching a stick that doubles as a spear. The hunt begins, at least in play. Children are the tribe's sunrise. They bring noise, energy, chaos, and hope. Every generation begins again with them, tiny, fragile, endlessly curious creatures who learn by touching, tasting, imitating, and laughing. They grow not in classrooms but in wilderness, where every tree, rock and river is a teacher. Their world is not divided into work and play, learning is play. The tribe doesn't separate them from life's rhythms. There are no nurseries, no walls. Children move among adults, absorbing knowledge as naturally as breath. When their mothers gather berries, they watch and mimic, learning which fruits are safe and which are deadly. When fathers carve spears, they hand the dull ones to little hands, letting them practice. The tribe teaches not through instruction, but through example, through participation, repetition, story and touch. And the lessons come fast. You learn to walk early, to run soon after. You learn to climb trees before you know the word for height. You learn fire's warmth and its danger by feeling both. You learn silence when predators prowl, patience when hunger gnaws, courage when storms rage. Nature is your school, and every mistake is a teacher. But even in this wild classroom, children are cherished. In a world that constantly takes, each new life is a gift. The tribe celebrates every birth with ritual, songs, offerings, dances that welcome the child to the circle. The women smear a little red ochre on the baby's forehead, a symbol of life and protection. The men add a small carved charm near the cradle. It's simple, but it means everything. You belong to us. The cradle itself might be nothing more than a woven basket or a bundle of hides, carried on a mother's back as she works. Babies sleep to the rhythm of walking feet, lulled by the sway of motion and the hum of voices. They hear stories before they understand them, music before they can speak. By the time they walk, they already know the tribe's sounds, the shape of its songs, the safety of its heartbeat. Fathers, too, are not distant figures. They play, teach, and protect. You often see them holding infants, tossing them gently into the air, tickling them into shrieks of laughter. The bond between parent and child is communal, not individual. The child belongs to all. A woman may nurse her sister's baby. An elder may scold or comfort anyone's child. Parenthood is shared like firelight. Play is more than amusement. It's training for survival. The games the children invent echo the skills they'll need later. They practice stalking each other through the grass, throwing sticks, pretending to fish, building miniature shelters. You can hear their giggles from across the valley, followed by serious little arguments about who gets to be the lion this time. Every game teaches balance, coordination, teamwork, imagination. They also play at storytelling. Around the fire, while adults rest, the children mimic the elders, exaggerating voices, acting out hunts, pretending to call on spirits. The others laugh, but they're also watching. These performances are practice for adulthood, for the day when they'll be the ones speaking truth through tales. Not all lessons are gentle. The wild is a strict teacher. Children learn quickly about danger. The snake's hiss, the crack of lightning, the shadow of a hawk. They're warned with words and sometimes with scars. A burned finger from the fire, a bruised knee from a fall. Pain writes memory in ways words cannot. Still, every injury carries love behind it, a whispered reminder. You will learn, and you will live. Curiosity drives them farther each day. They wander beyond the camp, exploring rivers, rocks and trees. They collect pebbles, feathers, bones, souvenirs of wonder. They ask endless questions, though they don't yet have language for why. Instead, they point, stare, mimic, repeat. Discovery becomes instinct. That same curiosity will one day drive their descendants to build telescopes and launch rockets. But for now, it's enough to poke a stick into an anthill and watch life explode in every direction. The elders adore the children most of all. They tell them stories not just to pass time, but to pass wisdom. The tales are simple. how the fire was stolen from lightning, how the stars are the eyes of the ancestors, but within them lie maps of behavior and belief. Don't wander too far after dark, the elder says, eyes twinkling. The night spirit might follow. The child nods solemnly, both afraid and fascinated. Myth becomes the first form of education, a blend of truth, fear, and love. Discipline in the tribe is gentle, but firm. No one beats or isolates children. There's no concept of punishment for curiosity. Instead, correction comes through guidance and community pressure. If you break a tool, someone shows you how to fix it. If you disobey during a hunt, you're reminded of the danger, not shamed for it. Learning is continuous and collective. Children also learn emotional intelligence early. Living so close together, they see everything: grief, anger, joy, birth, death. They learn empathy, not from sermons but from witnessing. When someone dies, they watch the mourning rituals. When someone laughs, they join in. When food is scarce, they see sharing firsthand. This exposure breeds understanding far deeper than any moral code could teach. Puberty brings its own transformations. When a child's body changes, so does their place in the tribe. Boys join the hunters for the first time, trembling with excitement and fear. Girls participate in ceremonies marking womanhood, honored with song and paint. These rites of passage are powerful moments, bridges between childhood and adulthood. They're not private, not hidden in shame. The whole tribe witnesses, celebrates, and welcomes the new phase of life. Sometimes, initiation involves trials, the long run, a night alone in the forest, a symbolic scar or tattoo. These aren't punishments, they're stories written on the skin. They say, I faced the wild and returned. I belong among the living. The moment of acceptance, when the tribe embraces the newly grown child, is a joy that transcends words. You can see it one evening. The camp gathered in a circle, the fire bright. The young boy stands trembling, his face painted with ash and red clay. The shaman chants softly, the tribe hums in rhythm. When the ceremony ends, the boy's father steps forward, grips his shoulder, and says something simple like, "You're one of us now." The pride in that moment could light the world. Through all of this, childhood is fleeting but full. There's no boredom here, no idle waiting for adulthood. Every day brings a new skill to learn, a new wonder to chase. Even in hardship, joy pulses through the young. They make the world lighter simply by being in it. And when the sun sets, when the fire glows and the tribe gathers to eat, you see them nestled between parents and elders, sleepy but alert, listening to stories that will one day become their memories. The flames reflect in their wide eyes as they drift between wakefulness and dream, already carrying the knowledge of 1,000 generations in their bones. The children of the wild grow up fast, but not unkindly. They learn resilience through love, courage through play, wisdom through watching. They inherit no wealth but endless inheritance of spirit, a sense of belonging to something larger than themselves. Someday they'll take the tribe's place. They'll hunt, gather, build, sing. But for now, they sleep under open skies, their dreams mingling with the hum of insects and the crackle of fire. The world is vast, but they are safe, wrapped in warmth, surrounded by love older than time. You watch them breathe, soft and steady, and realize, these are the first children of humanity, the ones who will carry your fire into forever. The wind is changing again. You can smell it, dry, sharp, different. The ice that once ruled the land has begun to retreat. Rivers swell and roar with meltwater, new grass pushes through thawing soil, and forests spread where tundra once lay barren. For the first time in thousands of years, warmth returns to the world. Life blossoms, but not all life will survive it. You stand on a hillside overlooking a vast plain. Below you move shadows, herds of mammoths, mastodons, and giant sloths grazing on tender shoots of green. They look eternal, like moving mountains. Their tusks glint in the sun, their calls rumble through the valley like thunder. These are the giants of the old world, creatures built for ice and endurance. And yet in the soft air of the new world, they are already dying. The reason is simple and devastating. The earth is changing too quickly, and you, the clever, restless human, have become too good at surviving. Your weapons have evolved. Sharper blades, stronger spears, better coordination. You hunt not out of hunger alone, but with strategy and precision. You read the land, predict migrations, set traps, ambush herds. A single mammoth can feed a tribe for weeks. It seems endless, this bounty you kill with pride, skill, even gratitude, but not with restraint. You don't yet understand the scale of your power. Each hunt feels small, personal, necessary, but multiplied by countless tribes, year after year, it becomes a tide. The mammoths grow wary, their numbers thin. The great herds that once shook the earth dwindle to scattered families, then to memories. You tell stories of them long after they're gone. There were beasts taller than trees, you'll say, pointing to the horizon. But they vanished into the snow. It isn't just the mammoth. The saber-toothed cat, with its long, curved fangs, once ruled the plains. But as humans spread, the big cat's prey disappears, and they starve. The giant ground sloth, the woolly rhino, the short-faced bear, all fall in turn. The world's great megafauna vanish one by one. Whether it's climate, hunting, or both, the result is the same: silence. Where once there was thunder, you don't notice the loss at first. The forests fill with deer, boar, and smaller game. You adapt easily, shifting your tools, changing your prey. You're a survivor. It's what you do best. But something intangible fades too, the awe of being small. For tens of thousands of years, humans lived in humility before creatures mightier than themselves. Now, for the first time, the balance tilts. You are the apex. You don't yet understand that this crown is both gift and curse. Still, life goes on. The warmth brings abundance. New plants flourish, rivers teem with fish, and birds return in clouds so vast they darken the sky. You hunt smaller animals now. With spears and bows, you learn to set snares, to use traps, to fish with hooks carved from bone. Adaptation is your instinct. But with every new invention, the world bends a little more beneath your touch. The tribe grows larger. Children survive more often. Fire and shelter make winters easier. You need more food, more space, more everything. The land begins to feel smaller. Other tribes wander nearby. And when you meet, the encounters aren't always peaceful. The age of nature's giants ends, and the age of human dominance begins. Even so, not all loss is violence. Some of it is mourning. You carve mammoth ivory into ornaments, paint their shapes on cave walls, sing songs about them under the stars. You remember the way their eyes looked before they fell, the way the ground shook beneath them. You honor them as you once honored the dead, sensing that their disappearance means something larger than hunger or change. Your people begin to see the world as a circle, a cycle of birth, growth, decay, and renewal. You start to tell stories, not just about gods and spirits, but about balance. Take too much, the elders warn, and the earth will grow angry. It's the first environmental philosophy, born from grief. You also notice new creatures rising, where the old ones fell. The forests fill with nimble deer, wolves, and smaller predators. The plains bloom with wild horses, aurochs, and gazelle. Life doesn't stop. It shifts. The planet reshapes itself around your presence. It's almost as if nature is adapting to you. Still, something inside you changes forever. You've learned what it feels like to erase what you love. The mammoth's bones lie scattered across the land, bleaching under the sun, silent testimony to your success and your mistake. One day, your descendants will dig them up and wonder how such giants could have vanished. The answer will always be the same: humans happened. But the story isn't just about destruction, it's about awakening. The great extinctions teach you caution. You begin to plan hunts more carefully, to spare the young, to move with the seasons instead of against them. The memory of loss becomes a kind of moral compass. You understand now that power without restraint leads only to emptiness. And yet, deep down, you can't stop creating, inventing, pushing. Curiosity is in your bones. Even as species vanish, you find new ways to live, new tools, new shelters, new stories. You carve the image of a mammoth into bone, not to mourn, but to remember that you once walked among giants. On quiet nights, as firelight flickers across your face, you tell children about the old days. Once, you whisper, the earth trembled when the herds ran. Once, we followed the beasts across the snow. Once, the world was full of giants. Their eyes widen in wonder. For them, these stories are not tragedy, they're heritage. The mammoth becomes myth, the saber-tooth a legend, the lost world a sacred memory. You've turned history into story, story into wisdom. Even in absence, the great beasts continue to shape you. Their bones become your building materials, their tusks your art, their hides your blankets. Their memory keeps humility alive. You still see yourself as part of nature, not its ruler. That understanding will last for a while, until cities rise and empires forget. But here in this early dawn of awareness, humanity still knows its place in the circle. You walk through the valley one last time, the grass whispering around your knees. A lone mammoth skull rests in the distance, half buried, half standing. You approach it slowly, placing your hand on its worn surface. It's smooth from wind and time, cold beneath your palm. You whisper a simple word of thanks. The wind carries it away. The herd is gone, the age of giants over, but the lesson remains etched into your species like a scar. Everything you touch, you change. The power to create is the power to destroy, and the world will never be the same again. Still, as you turn back toward camp, smoke rising in the distance, you feel something else: responsibility. The same hands that ended one age will begin another. You've outlived the mammoth. Not because you were stronger, but because you could imagine tomorrow. That imagination will drive you to plant seeds, build walls, write songs, and someday, if you're wise enough, to protect what you almost lost. The snow is gone now. The grass hums with life. The air smells of warmth and change. The giants sleep beneath your feet, but their echoes follow wherever you go. You walk on, carrying their memory in your bones, their shadows in your stories, and their lessons in your soul. The grass bends in a gentler wind now. The world has warmed, the glaciers have melted, and rivers run strong where ice once ruled. You stand at the edge of a fertile valley, the sun sinking low behind distant hills, painting everything in gold. For the first time, the ground beneath your feet feels less like a path, and more like a home. You've been moving for generations, chasing herds, following seasons, surviving storms. But here, something deep within you whispers stay. The last hunter-gatherers watch the seasons change, and see what no generation before them has dared to notice. Seeds grow when dropped, grain sprouts when tended, animals return to places where they are fed. Patterns emerge from chaos. A woman crouches near the campfire, pounding grain between stones. Some falls to the ground, unnoticed. Days later, green shoots appear in the soil. She pauses, watching, her mind turning over the mystery. That small realization, that quiet flicker of awareness, is the hinge of human history. The first farmers are not inventors. They are observers. They do not plan revolution. They simply follow curiosity. You can almost see it, a handful of people deciding to linger near the river, rather than move on, building shelters from reeds, planting small plots of wild wheat. They still hunt and gather, but the rhythm shifts. The tribe learns patience, the art of waiting for the earth to answer. It's not easy. Floods wash away crops, animals trample fields, seeds rot before sprouting. Yet something keeps you trying. It's not just hunger, it's faith. The same imagination that painted on cave walls now dreams of control over the soil. Slowly, through failure and persistence, you begin to bend nature, just slightly toward your will. With farming comes stillness, and with stillness comes change. The campfire circle expands into a village. Mud huts replace tents, paths form between dwellings. Children grow up in the same place their parents did, a new and unfamiliar experience. Time starts to feel different. Seasons no longer dictate migration, but harvest. Days are measured not by distance traveled, but by the growth of crops. Humanity for the first time roots itself to the land. This new life brings comfort, but also complexity. The harvest must be shared, the water divided, the store protected. You invent pottery to store grain, baskets to carry it, fences to guard it. You begin to think ahead, to plan months, even years into the future. The world demands foresight now, not just reaction. Civilization is being born, one seed at a time. You still remember the old ways, the wild hunts, the star-filled migrations, the sound of mammoths. But they fade with each generation. Children grow up, knowing more about the soil than the forest. The stories of the past become myths. Tales of a time when humans followed the animals and spoke to spirits in the wind. You feel nostalgia for a freedom that still lingers in your blood, yet you also feel pride. Your hands shape the world in ways unthinkable to your ancestors. You build irrigation ditches, herd animals, tame fire, and flood alike. The earth, once your master, becomes your partner, and as your control deepens, so does your imagination. You begin to wonder about ownership, about mine and yours, about inheritance, power, and law. The tribe transforms into a community, the community into a society. With society comes hierarchy. Some grow more skilled, others more fortunate. The one who guards the grain becomes important. The one who interprets the weather becomes sacred. The shaman becomes priest. The storyteller becomes teacher. The leader becomes chief. The tribe's equality begins to tilt, but you don't see it as loss yet. You call it order. At night, when work ends, you still gather by the fire, but the songs have changed. They are no longer about mammoths and rivers, but about gods and ancestors, the invisible hands believed to guide the harvest. The stars above become symbols of those powers. You give them names: Orion the hunter, Taurus the bull, Virgo the maiden, and imagine they watch over you as you sleep. You begin to build monuments to them, stones arranged in circles, altars of earth and bone. The act of worship is both gratitude and fear. You thank the unseen forces for your crops, but you also fear their silence. The mystery of life, once a daily struggle, now becomes a spiritual quest. Language deepens too. Words multiply to describe tools, trade, and emotion. You invent counting, measuring, recording. Someone marks lines in clay to track the moon's cycles. Another scratches tallies of sheep and grain. Without knowing it, you've invented writing. The symbols that began as stories painted in caves now become the foundation of civilization itself. Still, memory runs deep. Every time you plant, you remember the wild fields where your ancestors roamed. Every time you cook, you remember the fires under open stars. Every time a storm destroys your crops, you remember that the earth is older, wiser, and far less tame than you imagined. Civilization may be rising, but the wild still rules the edges of your mind. Generations pass. Villages grow into towns. Trade begins. Shells from the coast for obsidian from the mountains, salt for hides, grain for flint. You meet people from far away who speak different tongues, but dream the same dreams. Safety, food, belonging. The web of humanity stretches wider. Cooperation once meant 10 people sharing a fire. Now it means hundreds building walls, thousands building cities. The tribe has become the species. But with growth comes nostalgia. In quiet moments, you look beyond the fields, toward the forests, where the wind still moves freely. You wonder what it felt like to live without boundaries, to wake each day to a new horizon. You envy the birds still flying over your roof, unclaimed and uncounted. The ache of the wanderer never dies. Sometimes, an elder will tell stories of the old world. The ice, the herds, the hunt. The children listen, eyes wide, half disbelieving. It was colder then, the elder says, voice soft as the embers fade. The sky was full of smoke and light. We walked with giants. The children laugh. But something in the tone makes them quiet again. They sense truth in the myth. That is how memory survives. Not in books or stones, but in breath and sound. Every story whispered keeps the past alive. Every song sung around a fire carries the echo of those who came before. You are their continuation. The same hands, the same heartbeat, the same stubborn will to endure. You no longer live in caves, but you still paint. You no longer wander, but you still dream of horizons. The shape of your world changes, but the soul of it remains. You are still that small creature staring into the fire, wondering what lies beyond the dark. And as night deepens over your village, you lie awake beneath the same stars your ancestors saw 70,000 years ago. The air hums with crickets, the smell of earth is sweet, and in the distance you can hear the river murmuring, a lullaby as old as time. You realize that even as you move into the future, the past moves quietly beside you, step for step. The line between wild and civilized is thinner than you thought. It lives not in the land, but in the heart. Every human carries both, the builder and the wanderer, the farmer and the hunter, the dreamer and the doer. Together they make you whole. You close your eyes, The fire flickers one last time, painting warm light on the walls of your hut. Just as it once danced on the walls of ancient caves, you breathe slowly, deeply, your heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of the earth. You think of the long road behind you, the first fire, the first tool, the first word, the first seed. You think of the faces lost, the songs remembered, the footprints fading into dust, and you understand something beautiful. Nothing is truly gone. Every spark remains in you. The wind sighs through the valley. The night grows soft. The earth hums with quiet life. Humanity sleeps, dreaming of the dawn it created, and of the wild world that will always, somewhere, remain. And now, as the last embers of your fire fade, so does the long journey. The stars above are steady again, silent witnesses to everything you've seen, from the trembling light of the first flame to the glow of cities that will rise millennia later. You've walked the full circle of humanity, barefoot, curious, unbroken. You can rest now. The story isn't ending, it's only pausing in the quiet between heartbeats. Somewhere, deep in memory, mammoths still roam, children still laugh by the fire, hands still shape clay, stone, and dreams. The world keeps whispering the same ancient promise. You were here, you matter. The air is cool, the night wide and kind. Listen closely. The earth is still breathing beneath you, steady and slow. Feel it match your pulse. In that rhythm lies everything. The hunt, the harvest, the story, the silence. You are part of all of it, and all of it is part of you. So close your eyes and drift back through time. Let the sounds of wind, fire, and heartbeat carry you. You are safe. You are ancient. You are home. Good night. Sweet dreams.